Well, I got an assortment of things to talk about, and I guess it doesn't much matter where I go, where I start. But I'll kind of work from this end. Uh, the other day when I was in town, I was in the hardware store. The Ace hardware. I actually bought one of these nail bibs. They're just kind of handy for, I tend to flop nails out and pile here, pile there. It might be handier working. But one of the things I bought was these hearing protectors, and these happen to be 3M. I was running into a problem. I was running the planer, and a planer can be very loud, particularly when you're doing something like this. Is the oak I was playing, and I've got some of these really solid, nice oak boards that I'm saving for a particular project, and running them through that planer will make your ears ring. Now, what I normally for shooting, I use these little gel things. They're convenient. I always carry these in my pocket, but they aren't enough for the planer. So what I was using was these little foam ones, and these are great, but they are a bit of a nuisance to take in and out. Because you kind of squash them down, and then you put them in, and then you can hear the foam expands, and the seal's tight. They work very well, but taking them on and off is a kind of a nuisance. You have to work at it a little, and plus when you're dealing with sawdust all over the place, you end up jamming sawdust in your ears. But these are good. I always keep a bunch of these on hand because they're cheap, But when I have people down shooting, I like to use these, because they're really like disposable. But like I said, they work really good, but they're not convenient to take on and off. So that's where I thought these would work, and I'm going to give these a try. They'd be a little handier, not for the shooting, but for the running the power tools. So they won't leave this area, they'll be here. But like I say, these I carry with me all the time. And I don't remember what they cost, but they couldn't have been too expensive. And it looks like $18.99. You can get all out of hand with that kind of stuff. Make these electronic ones, and it gets pretty involved. Another thing, I was surprised. I had bought a bunch of hinges and that sort of thing, and when I was looking for screws for them, I don't know that you could even buy a regular slotted screw anymore. They're all Phillips. They're all out of China or India. I don't know why. This could be, it says Taiwan, China, Canada, US, or Korea. But these happen to be made in China. Which, everything is. In fact, the hinges are made in China. It's a thing. It's not a good thing. And when I was in town, I made a trip into Walmart. I don't purposely go to Walmart. It's been a long time since I've been in a Walmart. It's just the kind of stuff I am looking for. But I was just leaving town, and right on the edge of town, I was driving by a Walmart. So the one thing I did want was to get some of this oil. And I seem to remember that Walmart carried this. Otherwise, I had to go to Napa to get it. To go to Napa, I had to make quite a backtrack through traffic, and I didn't want to do it. But I use this in a motorcycle, this heavy-duty 30-weight Castrol. Now, this is a different container than what I'm used to, but it's the same oil. But the funny thing was, I go in there and I grab it, and on the shelf, it said like $6.47 for a quart. Not too surprising. That I think is close to what I pay at Napa. The stuff is expensive, much more expensive than other oils, but it's a regular, heavy 30-weight oil that works good in my motorcycle. That's all I ever run in it, and I got a lot of miles on that. So I'm not about to switch oils. Everybody's running like a synthetic or a synthetic blend now, but I'm really not into them. I like a straight heavyweight. In the road grader, I got all the synthetic lubricants that cost a fortune. So I like to stick with regular 30-weight. What got me here, I go up to walking toward where all these checkouts are, and I'm never really comfortable with them because there's always going to be somebody with about 2 or 3 shopping carts loaded with crap in front of you. Well, then this woman waved me over to this other thing which I hadn't seen before. Well, I guess I've seen them, but I've never used them. And I think it was an older version of these self-checkout things. And I thought you had to use your card in those. I didn't know that it seems fraught with errors. The potential for an error is great in them. And I told the woman that waved me over, it was a young girl, and she was evidently promoting these things, and there was like 8 of these checkout things, and she was running them all, She was like supervising. Well, so she waves me over there, and I said, well, no, I was going to be paying cash. Oh, that's right, she said, they take cash now. Well, okay, so, she was determined, and I thought, well, we'll try this. So you scan them, and then it rang them up, and I was surprised. It rang them up at $4.47 each, which didn't make sense to me, because that's quite a bargain. But then, so then you feed your money in there and put a 20 in there, and it snatched it out of my hand, and then puked out $5.58 and change. Which I don't think that's right. But, what are you going to argue with the machine? And I think instead, next time I'm in town, I'll swing in there and buy them out of heavy-duty Castrol. And the first thing I said, man, the woman that was doing this, I said, you're cutting your own throat here. You're making it self-service, and that's her job. I don't know. I didn't. I'm sure they're shit jobs anyway. Working in Walmart, I'm sure you don't make a lot of money, but hey, it's a job. And automating it like that, the only job is going to be for the people who have to fix them. They're going to be technical jobs rather than just a part-time job where somebody can make a few bucks and keep their family fed. So I didn't think much of that whole idea. But I'm sure it's the way things are going. But it amazed me, that thing, boy, that it used to be them that took bills. You'd have to feed it in there, and then it didn't want it. This thing, I'd swear I never got her in a slot. She snatched it right out of my hand. Well, okay, when I was in town, another thing, I was looking around because the place that I had bought these nails that I was cooking the other day, that are the square nails, they don't carry them anymore. That was a Builder Square, I don't remember what it was. One of the big name chain stores. Place I don't do much shopping either. But they used to have these, now they don't. They just carry one size, and it's not the size I want. These are a good nail. They're fairly thin, and I like the way they work. But, so, since they didn't have any more, I was buying Menards. And I thought, okay, I'll swing into Menards. Well, see, the nail that they carry, big, fat, ugly thing, you know, much wider nail. It really wasn't what I was looking for. And these are made in, I think, China or India, China. But speaking of that, I had bought some regular nails one day, and I have never had such a crappy nail. When you drive them in, you will often have the head break off. As you drive them in, the head just breaks right off. And if you put one of these in, even like an inch, and try to pull them out with like a crowbar, it's going to pull that head right off, and you end up going at it with a vice grips or a pliers to try to get it out again. They're just a poor nail. India. You know, I'm not a big nail guy. My whole idea is you make the design in such a way as to avoid the use of nails. You know, use as few as you can. A nail has its place, screws have their place. I know one guy said, you know, in this world of all these high-tech fasteners, why are you using, you know, these kind of nails? These have their advantages. There's definite advantages to a square nail. Just aren't commonly used anymore. But like what I was saying about these fat ones, because these are really masonry nails, you know, is what they are now. Is what they're used for. But I had some old stock ones. And man, I love these. These are an 8. These are a 6, these are an 8. But you look at that, you know, there's a world of difference. This just isn't really going to do it. I mean, I bought some, but I can use them in certain places. But this is what I really was looking for. These are a fine nail. In fact, they're called a fine finish nail. They aren't designed for the driving into cement. But I got quite a few of these left, but I ordered another 50 pounds of them, and then another 50 pounds of some, like I say, these are 6s. I ordered some 4s. I have a use for them. For putting battens on it, I don't need that long a nail. But I tell you, you know, it's, I was able to find some old stock ones, because otherwise you have to watch out. So many people they're trying to sell these nails as antique. Well, they aren't antique. You know, but they'll sell for so much a piece, you know, expensive. But like I say, I was able to order some old stock ones that are made in this country. Well, talking about made in this country stuff, okay. I'll go into this. I had a problem the other day. I was working out here, and I had one of my dogs running loose. The female, Sweetie, and she had disappeared for a while. I couldn't, you know, normally she's checking in all the time, you know, running around doing gopher hunting and stuff, but she checks in. And she didn't check in. So it was getting toward dark, and I walked around calling, and I couldn't figure out where the devil Sweetie went to. Well, Sweetie had managed. The other day I made the mistake. I had some hot dogs, and I bought them just that day, but I think they might have been, I never looked at the expiration date, but they might have been old or something, because after I ate a couple of them, they didn't sit well with me, let's say. So I threw them to Sweetie. She was outside. I opened the door, threw them. Well, she knows now. Okay, that's where the good stuff. The hot dogs are in the house. So she had went over there, and evidently when I had left, the door didn't click latch all the way. So Sweetie got the door open, got inside, and she's not an inside dog. None of my dogs are. They're like a wild animal when they get in the house. So she got in there and she couldn't get out again. She was trapped. Well, she went on a rampage. She ate a lot of stuff that she. In fact, one of the things that she got into was a box that had some of those. What do they call them? Them little sausages that come in cellophane that he always said that Brian always said the packing material. You know, spicy little things. I can't remember for life me what they're called now. Anyway, she got into some of them, so I think Sweetie will be shitting cellophane for a week. Because she was just gobbling them out, evidently. Because I didn't find wrappers, but I found where she'd been in them. And she ate a whole loaf of bread, you know. So anyway, she tore stuff apart, and, you know, she was glad when I finally let her out, but I got to make sure I latch that door. So when I was in town the other day, I was looking for latches, you know, a door latch, one that would latch securely. Well, it was kind of interesting. This stuff is hard to find. Regular old barn type hardware is getting harder to find. Everything now is this new anodized fancy stuff that's made to look old, you know, weird stuff. You know, it's like antique that then costs a fortune. You know, it's one of the things that it always tells me, like your latches for your front doors, you can spend a lot of money on them because evidently that's supposed to give somebody a great impression as they walk up to your place if you got this, you know, elaborate door latch. So they get to be real expensive. That and kitchen faucets, unbelievably expensive. It always surprises me what they get for them, but any of that kitchen stuff, you know, women are into remodeling their kitchen and they spend a lot of money on fancy faucets. Well, so I was looking for door hardware. Now, when I was in Ace, I found one of these, and these have been around forever. You come in this slick box, you know, made in Wisconsin. It's nice because they have the template right on there. And these have been around forever. They're on every old shed around here. And they're a pretty good unit, and they're made so that, you know, when they go to close, it clicks down, you know, and goes in. You know, and they are so that you can put a padlock on them. You know, pretty straightforward thing. So I bought that, and it was like, I don't remember exactly. It doesn't really matter a heck of a lot, but $12.99. But like I said, I'm familiar with these. Thunder, which might put it into my road grading for today. But I was glad to find this regular old one. But as I was leaving that hardware store, I happened to drive by in a Menards. Now, I don't buy a lot of stuff at Menards. That is where these Chinese nails came from, was Menards. I swung in there just to see what they had. To me, Menards is just like a step lower than what I want, the quality of the stuff. You know, it's low cost, but it's just a little, you know, I'd sort of pay a little more and get a little better, you know. But at the same time, the one thing that impresses me with Menards, you know, with this YouTube stuff in the AdSense, Menards is willing to spend money. They do a lot of advertising on YouTube. A lot of videos that you'll see Menards advertising on there. And that's a good thing, you know, that they're willing to do that. when so many other companies, bailed on it. So I have that. Menards has that going for it. So I thought, well, look what they have. And there again, I go through there and it's not really quite what I'm looking for. I'd sort of have a little better, but they did have, this was a national, but national made in China. Yep. And it's not a bad latch, but it cost me a little bit more. And I'll use it for something, but somehow it cost a couple bucks more than the other one. And it's, really a comparable latch. So, the one thing I noticed that the tin is thinner. The metal itself is thinner. Though the shaft that goes through seems to be a little bit heavier. And the one advantage this one does have, it does the same things, does the locking and all that. And I couldn't figure this out at first, what this extra part was for. Like, okay, this one, the latch is just a bent piece of metal. This was a little more elaborate. I don't know, it's a kind of a toss-up. This one does have an extra part that is mounted on the wall, so when the door is swung to its maximum opening and goes back against the wall, this actually will click into the handle and hold the door open, which, for most people wouldn't be a big deal, but a lot of these get used on like barns and on granaries and stuff, and there's times when you want the door to stay open, so you end up propping it open with a shovel or a piece of wood or something. Well, this is kind of a nice thing, though having this jagged piece of metal hanging on the wall maybe is a little bit dangerous. I don't know. But it's an extra piece in there. So I don't know. Like I say, I do appreciate that Menards is willing to advertise on people's videos. I see it on quite a few videos. They'll be advertising from Menards, which is a smart move on their part. But like I say, for me, I'd sort of pay a little bit more and get a little bit better. Though I'll try, I'll go in there again sometime and look and see if there isn't stuff I could use. I thought it was funny the one time, I've heard this several times, somebody said, on that AdSense advertising, I heard it remarked that there were cuts pretty much across the board, well, that it isn't really across the board. The firearm stuff is pretty much done as far as advertising. Like if you do shooting videos, the odds of getting any money off of them are pretty slim unless you have some private connection, But there are videos, I know I did a video one time, I had a laugh now and I look back at it, because sometimes I don't monetize many, like this, I won't monetize this. But I had done one that I monetized just to poke them, kind of. I tend to do that sometimes. And I had a laugh when I looked back like 2 weeks later, it made 1 cent. One cent on the monetizing. And I thought, okay. Otherwise, on the regular videos that I do, as long as there aren't firearms involved, you can make money on them, not a lot. But you make, like for me, I make enough to pay my phone bill, which is fine. But, most time on a video, let's say if you make, as long as it isn't firearm related, it can be almost anything else. But if you make a video, you'll make like $2 or $3 if you get like 1,000 views. So it isn't a big money maker by any means. Well, for some people, try to make a living off of that, but like for me, it pays the phone bill, which is okay. But it isn't across the board cuts. I'm sure the revenue probably used to be better for all of the videos, but the ones that really take a beating now are the ones that are trying to do firearm stuff. you could really almost forget about that. You know, it doesn't make any, I still do videos like that, but I know going into it, I don't even monetize them because I know they aren't going to, you can get all kinds of views and you're still not going to make any money off it. But I'm not in it for making the money though. Like I say, I do have it monetize some, but it's nice. My thought at first was that it would offset some of the increase in my phone bill, but actually I can make enough to pay the whole phone bill, and that's really what the phone gets used for, is just kind of nonsense anyway, so yeah, it works out okay. But those cuts weren't across the board. They were pretty specific in their cuts. You know, and I do feel bad because some people, you know, my channel is pretty diverse, but some people are strictly this or strictly that. And if you're strictly firearms, you know, you aren't going to make any money if that's your priority. I think it's cool that this one still comes in the same box it always came in many years ago. That's got the template built right into it. You cut this out, slap it on the door, drill your holes, ready to go. But this stuff is getting surprisingly hard to find. The old stuff that used to be basic, you know, even like hinges, to find a regular old hinge can be difficult. Everything now is like, it's new stuff made to look really old. You know, it's like hammered wrought iron with anodized finishing. You know, that's just silly. You know, I'm looking for cheap old hinges. Well, okay, I'll go to work and see what the rain is going to do. These buckets are excellent for carrying nails.